Each time we go to Mass and the priest offers Christ's sacrifice, he unites the entire value of our life, makes it one with Christ, brings it back to the Father, and because it is united to Christ's sacrifice, it becomes redemptive for the entire world. When we go to Mass, we're going to receive in the Eucharist no other Jesus than the Magi saw in Bethlehem on the day they adored him in the lap of Mary. It's the Church, Mary, who gives us the Eucharist, and when we receive him, we want to make sure we adore him in our heart, just like the Magi did when they came to Bethlehem. And what does it mean to adore him? It is to give him everything we have and are. And that is symbolized in the Magi giving him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Gold is a symbol for charity, love of God and love of neighbor. Frankincense is a symbol for our prayer. Frankincense is an Old Testament non-bloody sacrifice, which signifies the total gift of self to the divinity. And then myrrh is our readiness to do his will and to accept whatever he sends our way, because in accepting it, be it suffering or joy, we do his will and we become one with his own sacrifice. And it's the becoming one with his own sacrifice that transforms us into the likeness of Christ and makes us a living holocaust, divinized to become one with Christ so that the glory of God may dwell in us, as prophesied to Jerusalem, and may radiate outwards to us, to all the other Gentiles who do not yet know Christ. On Palm Sunday, the Church does something very unusual. We hear a gospel before the actual beginning of Mass. But this hearing of the gospel just before Mass is not kind of a remembrance of what happened 2,000 years ago, as if we were piously remembering an historical event. No, liturgy is never play. I'm quoting Pope Benedict here. Liturgy does not want to play, but it is the drawing near to true reality, the stepping out of that half reality in which we live towards the reality that is so real that it endures, meaning that which we commemorate in the liturgy is a reality that happened in the life of Jesus Christ, and because he is God and man at the same time, eternity has come into time, and that which he lived endures in eternity. And in the liturgy, we enter into that reality. So, Pope Benedict again, liturgy wants to be not less, but more of reality. We're stepping into the reality that Jesus enacted on Palm Sunday. And in the words of the Catechism, this is a beautiful mystery. Jesus' entry into Jerusalem manifested the coming of the kingdom that the King Messiah was going to accomplish by the Passover of his death and resurrection. So in other words, Jesus is symbolizing through his entry into Jerusalem, symbolizing in the very true historical meaning of what he is manifesting, that which will come about through his passion, death, and resurrection, namely the coming of his kingdom. In the words of the Catechism, Catechism number 522, the coming of God's Son to earth is an event of such immensity that God willed to prepare it over centuries. We could even say millennia. For the reality that has now come, that Jesus is the one and only true sacrifice whose blood was able to redeem us from our slavery to Satan, to sin, and to death. So you see, it's only through Christ and in light of Christ that we come to understand the Old Testament in its fullness. That is why Dei Verbum says in number 4 that Jesus alone is the fullness of revelation, and he is the only interpreter of the scriptures. It is only through the eyes of Jesus, through the mystery of his life, that we can come to understand the scriptures. And it is the risen Lord who explains the scriptures to us in his Spirit. And so you see the pattern of the Mass. We have the gathering of the faithful, Jesus explaining the scriptures to us, and then he pretends he wants to go on, and they say, hey, come and stay with us. It is already evening. And it says, and he went into them with them to stay with them. And thereupon, while he was with them at table, he took bread and said the blessing, broke it, and he gave it to them. And with that, their eyes were open and they recognized him, but he vanished from their sight. You see the mystery of the Eucharist? Now he breaks bread for them, and the moment he gives the Eucharist to them, they no longer see him in his bodily form, because now he's present in the Eucharist, and they receive him, and he actually did not only go in with them into the house to stay with them for the night, but in a much, much deeper, truer sense, he went in to stay with them in their hearts. He comes and becomes one with them. And thereupon, the power of the resurrection is in them. And even though it's quite a far road, they get up and they run back to Jerusalem and they tell their brothers that they have seen the Lord. People make the mistake to think that sacrifice is about destruction. It's not about destruction. It's about transformation. The original sin has destroyed us, and the Lord transforms us so that we once again become capable of giving ourselves back to God. Christ shows us this on the cross. He completely surrenders himself to the Father. And in giving himself entirely back to the Father, his entire life is transformed and becomes a gift to the Father, and we are taking into this, and from now on, our entire life and everything that we do, if we do it consciously for love of God, we become a living sacrifice. This is our spiritual offering of sacrifices, which, because united to the sacrifice of Christ that we offer on the altar, is co-redemptive. So each time we go to Mass and the priest offers Christ's sacrifice, he unites the entire value of our life, makes it one with Christ, brings it back to the Father, and because it is united to Christ's sacrifice, it becomes redemptive for the entire world. And this is how everything we live, everything we suffer, every joy, every breath we take, if we take it with Christ, in Christ, through Christ, for the glory of God the Father, becomes a spiritual sacrifice for the world. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, then please like, subscribe, and share, and join us again next week. Thank you, and God bless you.